Captain, welcome to Elite TFO training, covering the Counterpoint mission from Stow Better. Let's review objectives.
The first objective of this TFO is to defend Deep Space Nine. On Elite, if the station's health drops to 0, the mission fails. Initially, there are 2 groups threatening the station that must be defeated. In the second stage, approach and close portals that will spawn periodically around Deep Space Nine over a 3-minute period. You must close at least 5 portals while continuing to defend DS9. Closing additional portals beyond 5 increases the mark rewards. After termination of the portal stage, the mirror station Terok Nor will appear. Transport assault teams from Deep Space Nine to Terok Nor during the next 7 minutes to send it back to the mirror universe. Your team must successfully ferry a minimum of 15 assault teams, and ferrying more will increase mark rewards. Defeating Terok Nor itself during this stage is an optional objective. In the final stage, 2 reinforcement groups will arrive. Both must be defeated within 3 minutes to complete the TFO.
Thank you. On to risks and rewards. This TFO needs moderate coordination and team composition to play well on Elite, since most objectives can be soloed. For best results, a team working together can maximize their performance, but the floor to simply complete the mission is fairly low. However, the threat level is high due to the many damage threats from Terran ships, combined with a large portion of the TFO requiring you to fly with your shields down. For rewards, you can expect potentially a very high amount of Terran or fleet marks, along with a chance for subspace comm power pieces. Rewards are based on how well the objectives are flown. Since most of the TFO is time-gated, it is one of the longer TFOs. The adversaries on this operation are Terrans. Terran ships are generally fragile, but many of them have dangerous abilities. Terran temporal ships like the Mobius, Wells, or Paradox classes have a large AoE disable that can freeze you in place, but this is more annoying than dangerous. On the other hand, numerous Terran vessels have feedback pulse, and the point defense system from Armitage escorts is incredibly dangerous within 5 kilometers. It is important to note that Counterpoint has 2 distinctly different objective sets in its 4 stages. The first and last stage are pure damage checks and involve defeating Terran fleets. The second and third stages are not focused on damage output. For maximum effectiveness, focus on closing portals and ferrying assault teams, rather than killing all the Terran ships that continually respawn. Keeping Deep Space Nine alive requires some damage, but that's not the focus, and it is fairly resilient. If your team has the firepower, defeating Terok Nor when it appears will reduce its firepower and complete that optional objective. In terms of team composition, this TFO is fairly forgiving. Exotic builds excel at clumping and destroying large groups of weak enemies and are unaffected by feedback pulse. Fast ships, such as full pilot ships, are likewise well suited to the portal and assault team stages. When transporting assault teams, your ship's shields will go offline, so if you rely on items like the shield absorptive frequency generator or reverse shield polarity for survival, you will be especially vulnerable. However, there is no tether distance on the team transport, so once you start beaming, you can turn around and head for the next objective. Now, combat footage will be shown to illustrate the principles discussed previously. The goal of this section is not to illustrate perfect piloting, but provide an example of how to successfully complete the map with all objectives and without dying. Note that for brevity's sake, the footage is usually sped up relative to in-game speed. EPG builds excel at this map due to the numerous targets throughout the operation, and the lack of vulnerability to feedback pulse. In the opening stage, attack the groups of Terran ships until they are all defeated. Only the command cruisers have any significant amount of hit points. The rest of the ships can be bunched up by gravity well and dealt with accordingly.
The Terrans agree.
In the second stage, alternate between using your abilities and offensive consoles on groups of ships that threaten Deep Space Nine and closing portals. Since most exotic builds have large amounts of anomalies that persist over time, you can fire off a round of them, leave them to damage enemy ships attacking Deep Space Nine, and then return to portal closure. You must be within 7 kilometers of a portal to initiate closure, and they have a 10 kilometer leash distance once the closure has started. The minimap can help you easily find them if it's hard to see them through all of the visual effects. Engaging the Terrans at each portal is unnecessary and counterproductive. This stage continues for 3 minutes, and if the majority of the team focuses on portal closure, it's possible to close well over a dozen of them for significantly higher rewards than just closing the minimum 5. Deep Space Nine is fairly survivable, so while it's unwise to completely ignore the ships attacking it, it does not need to be babysat all the time in this stage. At the start of the third stage, the combined team should launch a full-on assault on Terok Nord to disable it. Once disabled, it will no longer attempt to repair itself, which makes ferrying the assault team significantly easier. Once that is done, focus on ferrying assault teams back and forth between Deep Space Nine and Terok Nord. Remember that there is no leash distance, so once a transport is initiated, move to the next station. This is an excellent place to use speed boosts like evasive maneuvers to increase the number of trips taken, and the higher defense rating from moving at high speed will reduce incoming damage somewhat. With proper coordination and team composition, we've been able to transport over 80 assault teams in this stage, which significantly increases the TFO's reward. As an exotic build, while delivering assault teams should be the focus in this stage, just as in the second stage, use your abilities to group and destroy marauding Terran ships threatening Deep Space Nine. Again, the Allied station is fairly survivable, but there's no point in not using your abilities on each pass by the station, since they're fairly quick to launch and will deal damage over time to any lingering or new arrivals. Keep an eye on the timer for this stage. While 7 minutes is a long time, around 90 seconds out from the end of the stage, you'll want to start saving your big cooldown abilities for the final battle.
We've conquered everyone else in our reality. Yours will fall. The Emperor will crush you.
When the Terran reinforcements arrive, this part is quite straightforward. Target the largest or nearest dreadnought and wipe them out. Exotic builds excel at mass fleet destruction, so fire everything, enjoy the fireworks, and avoid getting caught in the Mobius, Wells, or Paradox dreadnoughts AoE disable. Once the Terrans are defeated, the mission ends.
You haven't seen the last of me!
Terok Nor has been sent back to the Mirror Universe. We wouldn't have been able to repel.
Captain, if this breakdown helped you in your quest to play Stowe better, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. The link to the specific build used for this tutorial is in the description. For more guides and builds, check us out at www.stobetter.com.